Yo, I want to give a quick Patreon shout out. Aparni Ronnie, Aztec God, Chris Danger Doom, Eddie Bravo, Izzy Sandoval, Jazz, Kareem, Daria, Nia Town, Not Mitch, Who Are You? And Veronica Lopez. I apologize to Kareem. I've been saying your name wrong. It's not Karim, it's Kareem. The Y throws me off, though. There should be two E's. Anyways, I'll let it go. That's for the Jaritos. If you want to be a Jarito, it's $20 a month, and we put your face in the studio. For now, we got two faces and a dog, and a bunch of names. Some people haven't sent in their pictures yet. We don't want to just take pictures that we find of you on the internet and throw it up. We want to have your consent. So please, if you are a Jarito, email us a picture you would like to put in the studio. All right? Enjoy the episode. I don't believe we have any sponsors today. So here we go. Hello and welcome back to Isimo Podcast. My name is Hannah.
This is my podcast.
Oh my God.
You didn't give me room to do it.
I know, I realized my fuck up. My name is Gerardo Larcon.
I'm Dominic Angel.
And I'm awesome. Ryan Reyes.
Awesome Ryan Reyes. That's his new stage name. Today, I would like for you guys to please follow us on Instagram at IsimoPod, ISIMOPOD. Email us at isimopod@gmail.com. Please leave us a voicemail at 920-474-6644 and like and subscribe to our Spotify. Or you don't have to like it, but still leave a rating and review on our Apple Podcast. We just hit 100 reviews. And please continue to do everything you do. Who wants to tell them about the Patreon?
I'll do it.
Go for it.
We have a Patreon. No, I'm just kidding.
That's it. Next.
No, for $5 a month, you get bonus episodes, exclusive content, you get early releases on coming up content, and you get access to our Discord. And for $20 a month, you get your face and name on our Isimo board, our Patreon board.
Right behind me here. And we're going to get a tack board to make it even nicer.
Yeah, we're going to make it real nice.
We're going to make it real nice.
You can be any picture you want, any name you want.
Yes, and for the beginning of the show here, I wanted to play a voicemail. Is that cool, guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Like I said, please call 920-474-6644. I almost forgot it again. It's 1-920-ISIMO High, and we'll play your thingy on the podcast just like this.
You guys' voice message is very cute. I love it. Hola, my name is Justina.
Hi, Justina.
I'm a social worker for refugee, asylee, immigrant youth from the ages 15 to 24 years old in Ohio. And I just wanted to let you guys know that my kids that I work with, they got me into your guys' show. They're
shit.
Mexican, Guatemalan, South American kids. And, you know, they really do enjoy listening to you guys and watching your guys' podcast. It definitely helps them with their ESL skills.
English, Spanish language.
It gets them in a place where they feel safe, and they may not know everything that you guys talk about, but they understand enough to be like, hey, I sometimes don't feel like I belong.
This is a very long voicemail. It's halfway through.
These guys don't either. And you know, that gets them to feel like they belong.
I have to stop it really quick. The transcription says, but they dead. What?
Because they're like, it really helps them with their ESL. And I'm like, we have a bunch of kids going, hello!
Okay, I'm sorry.
Welcome to my house.
Wait.
Look, I'm sorry. This is a beautiful voicemail.
Nice.
They just like your guys' show. And I wanted to let you guys know also is that there's ever a moment, you know, that you guys are having a bad day, or you guys are not proud of yourselves, or you guys are upset, just know that there's people that are really proud of you. And really, actually, there's people that honestly look up to you guys because of what you talk about, the things that you discuss. It means something to them. It really does. And just like today, it's a really bad day, but like I know that, you know, my kids look up to me. They look up to you guys. También. And yeah, that's everything. I just wanted to say that, and that's it. I know this has been long, but I hope you guys are having a really good day. And bye.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I
Yes.
love listening to that. It means a lot to me. Tell your kids we said thank you so much, and we said hello.
We said hello.
I have like a huge respect for social workers. They don't
Yeah.
get enough credit for what they do. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, I didn't hear the message. I didn't screen it before listening to it, but I did see that part, and I knew that you would like that. She left that this morning. Thank you, Justina, very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. And today is the last episode of our history series here on Isimo, right, guys?
Yeah.
We don't have another one after this, right?
No, we're never talking about history ever again.
It's been exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll like cover it, just we're not gonna do like expose shit anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
No, we'll talk about stuff
It's
more.
been exhausting.
but-
Yeah, it's pretty exhausting. We all have a bit. Listen, we do something great here. Yes, I agree. But we all have other things that we do, so it's very hard to cram things, and then you don't really have time to like think about it. I'm speaking for myself, not for you guys, but yeah,
Well, it's like maybe we won't do like a week, like a whole month.
yeah,
Just when shit
Only
comes up?
during Hispanic History Month.
Yeah.
We'll do other stuff. This
Yeah.
was just our
Test
way.
run.
It was a test run, and we really liked it. I enjoyed like researching it and learning all this stuff that I never knew before. But you know, it is.
Yeah.
We're not fucking anthropologists or anything.
and we also understand that it's not what you come to expect from us, and we apologize if you were turned off by it. But it was very fun, and we also learned a lot.
Yeah.
And the real main reason why I don't want to do it anymore is because my mom keeps fucking fact checking us, dude.
What did we get?
So
wrong?
first of all, you were right. Miguel Hidalgo is not a saint.
That's. I didn't say he was.
No, me and you both were like, Ryan's wrong, kind of thing on the podcast. I don't know if you remember. Look at his
yeah.
face.
I said if it happened, it was posthumously.
Yeah.
Posthumous.
So another thing too, the saint thing. Mother Teresa was sainted after she died. Nobody's ever been sainted while they're alive.
Okay.
Except, just kidding. Imagine, blow your mind.
Stupid.
Some Irish fucker. No.
Everyone thinks because he has autistic mic drop that he fucking knows everything about all the things.
Yeah, we're the only ones that are like,
But also,
I do.
let's be honest.
What I know that in the first one I said that what's his name Porfirio Diaz overthrew Benito Juarez, and that was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, see, we are not historians. There's
Yeah.
other podcasts that do history, like we shouted them out. Revolutions is a very good podcast. I started listening to it.
Yeah.
He taps into a lot of different revolutions. I'm not really a good salesman when it comes to other people's podcasts. We hope you enjoyed the Tio episode. That was very fun, even though the
fun.
fucking quality is terrible. And I hope this one's fine.
No, that one was really fun.
Yeah. We are going to be going back there for the Halloween special. But anyways, for today, we're talking about what, Ryan?
Aztec civilization stuff.
What?
I was caught off guard because I had an itch. Okay, let me give it to me again.
Do you want to itch it first?
I did.
Okay, cool. It was in your mouth.
The fuck?
You didn't touch it.
Just go,
Okay.
just
What are we talking about today, Ryan?
We're talking about the Aztecs and how that shit like develops in the modern world and where we come from.
Yes. Today is Aztec Warrior Isimo.
Aztec-Isimo.
Aztec-Isimo. So where do we start? Aztecs, listen, they were awesome.
I got some shit to say.
Okay.
Well, it's really funny because like talking about the Aztecs, because I mean it's a really weird thing like getting to know Mexican culture and like Latino culture, because like there's this whole thing where they call like native Mexicans nopal.
Yeah.
Like it's a joke, but some people use it as a slur. There's this, I don't know, it's making fun of like people that are native, but then also every single Mexican is like, we were Aztec, we were Mayan, we were warriors.
Aztec
Like,
warrior.
I'm an Aztec warrior. Yeah.
Oh, but we made a joke earlier that like Aztecs
We're the original.
were the
Fools
original
Gone-
Foos Gone Wild. Aztecs were the original Foos Gone
'Cause-
Wild.
We were okay. So for some context, we had all been listening to podcasts about it like today, And one thing that all the podcasts would like pause on and talk about was the sacrifices.
Yeah.
And how like they did, you know, they were known for doing like more than anybody, was like a thing for them. And so we're talking about this, and then he says that, so the two things link in my brain. And so I imagine like that scene from Apocalypto when the head's just dropping down those stairs, and then someone going, "Where is this fool going?
Where is this fool going?"
Out of the broken window. Oh, that was how the original death whistle sounded.
Oh. They pull up those death, like the whistles that are shaped like skulls, and it's like.
Speaking of those whistles,
and then somebody that was waiting to get executed was like, "Fool's gone wide."
That fool's
gone wide.
Little mystery back then. Little Mr. A, because Aztec. Anyways, what were we gonna say?
Someone gets in the wrong line. Warning!
Warning! You will die.
Imagine if the Aztecs had Scante.
Fuck, dude.
Fuck. Yo, no. What did I say earlier? Oh yeah. Imagine imagine how much more deadly the Aztecs would have been if they had Scante and reggaeton, dog. if they had a soundtrack to their brutalization.
Fuck, dude.
Hijo de la chingada.
But yeah.
Anyways,
speaking of
the Aztec death whistle.
You know, I will say this just a little bit more generalizing, more uniformity. I will, because I've said it before in the podcast, and I'll keep fucking saying it. Don't buy some shit from another's like culture just because it's spooky or cool. You know what I mean? Spooky. No, because there's like, because it's happening again where like people are showing off their death whistles because Halloween's coming up, and it's like, you're white, dude, chill. Mm-hmm. It's like, even if you're admiring a culture, admiring it would mean not using it, because that's not what it's for. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, first, that's one thing, is don't buy someone else's culture just because you think it looks cool. Like, understand where it comes from and respect that shit. But also, if you are going to, get it from someone from that culture. You know what I mean? Stop fucking Etsy buying shit from some dude named Ned.
In Australia, he's like, I got a stick a death whistle down here. You want one?
I don't know what they look like, so I made this one look like a mouse.
It's $20. Screech is rented out. I thought.
Yeah. It's not an actual... It's not an actual, like, if it's 3D printed, you know what I mean? Then everyone, I'll say this for anyone who liked or at least saw the third Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
All right? If you're that asshole that buys that death whistle, you're fucking Billy and you're going to get eaten by pterodactyls.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But I thought
anyone who saw the movie knows what I'm talking about.
Instead, you should buy a 3D printed Velociraptor thing where you go, woo, woo.
No, that's my point. He bought it and then he got attacked for, not respecting the island and shit. He didn't respect the land he was invading on, and he got fucked up for it.
Yeah, he deserved it probably.
It's funny because we were talking about
don't buy the whistles.
We were talking about or we were listening to on the way to come do the podcast, and my mom was in the car with me, and we started. I was playing a podcast about the Aztecs, and she goes, it just like reminded me because she goes, my dad's mom used to say that we're coming from the Aztecs. It's like every single person I know is like a direct line to fucking Montezuma. Like
yeah, it's like that joke that they made in Big Fat Greek Wedding 2, where like every Greek person says that they're descended from Alexander the Great.
Yeah, or like in Asia, 1 out of 6 people are descended from Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Well, there is a statistical fact that like 3% of the whole population of Earth is descended from him.
Damn, fool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They fucked a lot.
Yeah.
That fool went wild.
That fool got down, dog. But hey, you brought up Montezuma. I don't know how to say his fucking name.
I don't think there was a C in the middle.
I always say there is a C.
There's a C.
It's Montezuma.
I'm dumb.
Montezuma.
But that guy there in that video, Montezuma.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah.
I don't ever pay attention to how British people pronounce anything.
Montezuma, actually, I don't know if you guys knew this, was the original Maseca boy.
Was he fat?
No, his name was just Maseca Zuma.
Maseca la cosita.
I stopped trusting how they pronounce things when they started calling chorizo chorizo.
Oh, what videos were you watching?
Gordon Ramsay, dude. They called it chorizo.
So you got the chorizo and the Aztec death whistle.
He was like explaining how to cook a breakfast meal, and he was like, I used nice chorizo sausage. It's the best. I'm like, that shit sounds exotic. And then I see him pull out the shit you buy at Food Village. I'm like, the fuck, dude?
That's chorizo way.
Chorizo. Anyway.
Oh, okay. So what were you saying?
I don't know.
We were talking about Montezuma.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that he mentioned that guy.
So Montezuma the first. I'm gonna keep saying it. It's gonna bug Dominic. What do you want to say? M boy or
Monty?
Monty. Okay.
Oh, Monty boy.
Oh, Monty the first was the best, right? He was the best Montezuma.
The original Montezuma. Yeah.
And then he had like 7 kids.
Yeah.
And 6 of them were either died or failed leadership wise, and then the last one, the fucking bastard child, became Montezuma the third or fourth.
No,
I think it was the second.
No, that I forget his name. That's another thing too. I'm really sorry about all this because
I'm pretty sure it was the second.
Nawa names are hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, it's just like a language that I'm super unfamiliar with. So like, it's hard for me to remember any of their names.
But Montezuma was he the first to find Tenochtitlan?
No.
There was the guy before him with the name we're not gonna get.
Yeah. That's
That guy.
There was 2 people before him.
So we should probably talk about that first because the Mexican flag comes from that.
Right. So
Yes.
you want to tell the legend about the Mexican flag?
So the Mexican flag has an eagle on it with a snake in his mouth on top of a nopal, right? Am I right so far?
yeah.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Turn around and find out.
It tracks.
It tracks. So basically, so the Aztecs were like looking for a place with the eagle on top of a cactus with a snake in his mouth, and they said they found it when they got to Tenochtitlan. But Ryan made a point about this where they were like, maybe they didn't see it, they just said they saw it, right?
Well,
Oh no, I made the joke that is like, imagine they got tired and they were just like, all right, they hold up a snake, all right, grab it.
Yeah. And then the guy dresses like an eagle. He's like, "Arr," he has a snake in his mouth. He's
All
like,
right, take the
"Fuck."
picture.
well, the whole thing, what's really interesting about the Aztecs is that they started off as a really, really small tribe.
Yeah.
And they were kind of just kicked around from like all over Mexico.
Yeah.
And they like came from the north and they were traveling south, pretty much just trying to find a place to live. And then there was a prophecy. Somebody told them that they would settle where there was a eagle on top of a cactus eating a snake.
Yeah.
And that's the legend. But what a lot of people kind of suggest is that they just found a swamp that nobody wanted to live in.
Yeah.
And then they made it to be like this big thing.
This is the promised land, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, sorry.
I was going to say, to their credit, they made they really made do with what they had, and
Yeah.
it grew profoundly.
Yeah, and I wanted to make a point because a lot of people, it's the most frustrating thing, especially like white people, will use the fact that a lot of these tribes practiced in sacrifices as a way of demeaning them or calling them uncivilized or savages. Like, no, you know what I mean? It's like, not to condone it. We don't do it anymore. We don't do it today in any regard. No one
Allegedly.
does. I mean, no good person does.
Yeah.
Why are you bringing up old shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about the Civil War and they're all like, what? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But so
sacrifices, like, there's no Mexican mass shooter. You know what I mean? Sorry.
Yeah, you were
continue.
just talking.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, but what I'm saying is like, it's just a thing that everyone believed in, and
Yeah.
it's a thing that like, to their, I don't know credit, but it's like a thing that looks like it was showing results. Like when you see when you track. Here's the thing: if this is what they believe about war and sacrifice, and then they go from that swamp to like fucking the Aztecs, like, then it's like, yeah, of course they think that it's gonna work, and then they do it
True,
the
yeah.
most, like fucking.
Yeah. There's like confirmation bias, basically.
Yeah.
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 In the worst way possible. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not that we're condoning. It's just like, it's a thing people believed
Yeah.
back then. It's like in multiple cultures, something like that existed.
It was their science, and they believed in science.
So I guess we're just gonna jump from the tribes to sacrifice.
Yeah, basically.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to put that out.
Yeah. Well, the tribes were the tribes. They fucking took over viciously. I think that's important to state. When they did take over Tenochtitlan, the surrounding places, they basically fucking forced their hands. Listen, we've been playing a lot of Risk. All right.
Yeah.
We've been playing Risk a lot recently, and they had a very aggressive strategies in expanding their empire.
I just equated it based on the results of the game, but I was like, he's Spain, I'm Aztec, you're the Tanakh.
I mean, when they were on the come up, like
Based on the game.
when they were originally growing, they were really smart. Like the way that they were really clever, I'll say.
Yeah.
Because like they renovated their area, they built like irrigation systems and like that. I forgot what it's called. There's a name for it, but the way that they farmed was
Yeah.
like fucking like hundreds of years ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And so they, were able to stabilize enough where they can start like growing just in general population, and they became warriors. They when they were choosing their leaders, that's how they became like a military force.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. But they were clever because they were like, they before they started attacking people, they rounded up allies. That was like the best. They put themselves in the army of another reigning tribe that had a feudal system.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I didn't know that people like indigenous Americans had like feudal systems like they did like in Europe and in Asia.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's how they came up, was that they like, I forget the name of the tribe. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the name of there was one tribe that had like a huge empire, and so they like became like, they were tricky. They kind of like were like, oh yeah, we'll be his army, and then they like, that's how they started like expanding.
Yeah. From what I remember, from what I learned, they turned into a very aggressive empire though, and then spread themselves thin, which, as I learned today in Risk, you do not do, right?
Yeah.
Yes. You have to protect your borders. Anyway, that's Risk. But if you haven't played Risk, do yourself a favor, get with some homies and play some Risk. All right. I just got an iPad, and the iPad is meant for one thing: Risk. All right.
Just make sure that you have close bonds with these people,
Yes.
close enough that you won't destroy them after one game.
Yes.
Or far enough that you never have to see him again.
Yeah. Play with your enemies and your closest friends.
And then you will never know which is which.
Let's just say turn the fog of war on. And anyways, but I think we should just go to the sacrifices, because let's be honest, that's what people are here for, dude. The Aztecs believed that sacrificing to the gods would irrigate their plants.
Well, it was also because there was a few different reasons.
I may be wrong. Okay?
Associated. It's more. It's
Before
not
you go,
that.
I just want to say one thing. I'm going to let you talk, but I just want to say something.
I was almost done.
Okay, Kanye West.
This whole month, I always preface things by saying, pay attention to who you're getting information from and who they got information from.
Yeah.
Because that dictates how we learn history. And that's a big part of like the people's view of the Aztecs. Okay, I'm sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
I feel like that could have waited. No, I'm just kidding. I thought you were going to be like, the Aztecs had the greatest album of all time. Fuck, I lost my place. No, I just need a minute.
The Aztecs would sacrifice.
Oh, there was like a few different things attributed to it. It's kind of like hard to tell. Part of it is because of what we'll talk about later, what Spain did to them, kind of eradicate a lot of history. But there's a few different reasons why it was believed that they did this. The main thing was just that it would appease the gods and essentially allow like existence to continue and allow prosperity within their culture. But it wasn't just them. Like a lot of the tribes around there, it was basically a belief amongst the tribes. One podcast that I heard, I can't say it right now.
Podcast or podcast?
Podcast. Van Podcast. Said it was believed. A lot of tribes believe this, and it was actually considered like an honor to die either through battle or to be sacrificed by the enemy, because most of the sacrifices weren't people that lived there; they were enemies that had been collected.
Yeah.
So it was just like a thing. It was a thing that a lot of them believed because they believed in similar gods, and some of them similar, some of them different. But it was like a general belief that sacrifices benefited the world.
Yeah.
What is a really cool thing, so in a lot of like the research that we have primarily from Europeans, I always talk about like, so when the Spanish originally landed, they were like, look at these fucking savages. They were fucking losing their minds about how like how violent these people were, and particularly with the sacrifices, and everybody, you know, they believed that the earth needed the blood. But what is really interesting, what's really cool that I found out, was that the Aztec believed that the earth was created by the gods, like removing their limbs, like tearing their limbs and like using their limbs to create the earth, and that's why they needed blood to give back to the gods. Which I thought was really cool.
That's trippy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this whole thing where it makes a lot of sense. A lot of these sacrificing was part of a duty, and it's like it's a thing where people play it about how like bloodthirsty they were, but I'm sure there's like somewhere in the middle that's true, but it's like for the most part, this is just like a religious belief system, and it's like it's a duty. It's not something that people relish in.
But bloodthirsty is also like a colloquial term, because technically they were bloodthirsty, but it wasn't for just like savage means. It was to appease the gods that tore their limbs off and fucking fertilize the land.
Yeah, like they genuinely believed that if they didn't do this, the world would just end. Like the gods would take it back.
Because I believe that same guy made a really good point, though, that it's like a fucking crazy cycle where if people dissented, they were sacrificed, causing more people to dissent, because it's like, what the fuck? Why are you just killing people? Causing more sacrifice, and it's just a cycle that really just collapses an empire. Probably would have collapsed even though the Spanish came and really like hastened the process.
Yeah, well, they built their system on like a crazy feudal. I mean, it's funny because the decline of the Aztec Empire very much mirrors the decline of the Spanish Empire.
Yeah,
that we talk about, where like they were expanding too quickly because they built themselves into this. It's not a capitalist machine, but that's like the easiest thing. So like a business is only considered successful based off of its expansion. Yeah. Based off of as much growth as it makes. So if it sustains the same productivity as the year before, then it's like, that's no good. Yeah. So they created a system where they had to keep expanding and taking in land because they needed to reward soldiers and they needed to keep the rich happy and all kinds of stuff. So
same with the Aztec, right?
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Like with both empires,
because Aztec warriors were promised a certain amount of land, and so they would have to expand more and more.
Yeah, it's crazy because they were given haciendas. Like that's the first thing that I thought of when they were talking about that, was that they were given like these allotments. It mirrors like what happened with like the samurai in Japan. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. What's interesting though is when people talk about sacrifice and they're like, I can't believe they killed so many people and all this and stuff. I forget where I saw it from, but there's a guy, he's a genealogist. So I saw him on TikTok. But he points out like of recorded sacrifices and of recorded deaths and stuff, they're like the Europeans and the Children's Crusade or whatever. The crusades that the Catholic Church had were fucking like gargantuan in comparison to the sacrifices that the Aztecs were doing. Yeah. Damn. So it's like people don't think about that, like the amount of people that the Spanish killed, the Europeans killed, in the name of the Catholic Church, or just in exploration and colonialism. Yeah.
Spanish Inquisition.
And they made sacrifice a part of their culture because it was a serious, like, firm belief that this is how you appease the gods. It was an honor and a duty. And it was taken seriously. It wasn't just like willy-nilly.
Yeah, it wasn't like, what you see in Indiana Jones and shit. It's like it was a procedure, if anything, and it was to the point where like they perfected how to do it quickly. Yeah. And I know that's not like the biggest episode, but it's like it's a thing they just.
I mean, they were pretty good at it, dude.
Yeah, they were. Well,
it's more of a thing of like it was like this is this guy's job, so he does the best that he can because he thinks he has to. It's not like nobody wants to do this.
Yeah, they were the original Richard Montanezes. They went from little janitor Aztecs to fucking CEO Aztecs. You know what I mean? Yeah. They fucking kill people efficiently, dude. Not the best way of putting it.
They invented hot Cheetos.
I'm wondering if stuff like that, not sacrifice in general, because I don't want to speculate and then invite an assumption, but I'm wondering if stuff like that kind of is the reason why, I don't know if you know this, but surgery or the idea of surgery in America kind of came from Native people.
Really? Expand on that, Ryan.
I can't remember 100%, but it like
is this a live autistic mic drop right now, dude?
It might be. I can't remember 100% where I got it from, so I might be wrong. Yeah. It was like either the idea of surgery or the idea of it was like the transplants and things like that were like stuff that they practiced. I can't remember where I know this from. Yeah. But like Native tribes were known to do that, and it like created the idea of like army medics and stuff like that. Like people had medicine, but on the go being able to do surgery yourself, stuff like small stuff, splints, things like that, like were a thing that they kind of came up with because they had, as nomads, constantly had to do shit like that to keep going.
Wow. That's
But
so
if I'm wrong,
funny.
let me know.
Our army medics believe in like old Aztec gods and shit. They're like, I mean,
I think it was just like if you died or were wounded, you were just left behind in other countries. That was like the thing. It's a funny joke that we tried to make work once. That like, it's about like revisionist history and how like, you know, I'm not gonna like shit on white people, but you know the Dark Ages, that before the Renaissance, that shit was only dark for white people.
yeah,
Brown people came up with like shit like surgery, aqueducts, which led to sewage systems, which led to running water. People created toilet paper. They created the number 0. That was all brown people, dude.
Yeah.
You know, white people were like, "Oh no, God says we can't do math or some shit." I don't remember history.
Didn't the Dark Ages start because of a bunch of orgies? I'm just kidding. White orgies.
What's the correlation? I don't know.
They're
Jinx.
just- I owe you a risk game. So
Can't take the rest of it. No, I'm just kidding. Leave the podcast. No.
So Hernan Cortez came to Cuba first, right?
Yeah.
Or Dominican Republic or something like that.
I don't know exactly.
think
Oh
so.
no, yeah, he came on an island, so I believe it was Cuba because I remember my previous research as well.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't until he landed there that then they moved, because that was like the first bit of land, and then he decided to move further in, and that's when he found Mexico and like the silver mines and shit.
Yeah. So that's another thing too. The fucking indigenous Aztecs and other tribes didn't give a fuck about gold or silver.
Yeah, they didn't care about precious metals because their economy wasn't based off of like stuff that came from the ground. It was based off of products.
Yeah. They were more interested in like textiles and goods like food and shit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
cacao.
like shit that served a physical purpose.
Chocolate was their goal, dog.
Yeah,
Coffee, they're like, I need my coffee in the morning, fool. You know?
yeah.
So, but they came on, horses were European, right? Or were horses indigenous?
Horses were European.
Okay, they weren't indigenous to America. They were indigenous to Europe.
Well, that's where the whole myth comes from. I don't know if this is true, but they're like when the conquistadors came riding horses, they thought that they were connected. They thought they were this.
They
Like
thought
it was
they were
one animal.
centaurs.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if that's true.
They thought they were dragons. They were like, what the fuck, homie?
Yeah,
And then unicorns came from where?
there's a couple. I know Africa. I know.
But I don't know.
Are unicorns real?
No.
Oh, okay.
The fuck?
Fuck, dude. I thought you meant like the myth.
No.
Where do unicorns come from? It's like now I'm just curious about cryptozoology, fool.
No, but so they came across on these fucking boats made of like metal and whatnot, right? The lady on the front, like, you know, naked.
Yeah, I
and
think it was
shit.
also a thing they'd never seen a boat that big.
Yeah. And they came across with the horses and whatnot. And Hernan Cortez touched base down in it's a fucking city, I forget, but on the coast. And then worked his way to Tenochtitlan, where he was met with Montezuma
The second,
yeah. Montezuma the Second's troops on a bridge. And it was like Fast and Furious, and they all fucking started killing each other and stuff, right?
Yeah, they tried to conquer them. It's well, they met with not the Taino. Are Tainos from Cuba?
I have no clue.
They met with indigenous peoples from Cuba, what is now Cuba, and they used them as translators. And they were the ones that kind of helped get them closer to the Aztecs.
Yeah. And then so the Aztecs welcomed them, but there was like a fucking communication breakdown where Aztecs were like, I killed this fucking person for you, kind of thing. And then the Europeans are like, you guys are fucking savages, you know?
Yeah, that was crazy. They like performed a sacrifice as like a gift to give them like blessings and stuff. And then they didn't reciprocate. Yeah. And then the Aztecs were like, what the fuck, fool?
What the fuck, dog?
It was like it was like walking into somebody's house with muddy shoes.
Yeah.
Like they were
and you think you're doing something good, you're like, muddy shoes, right? And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and they were like, these fucking savages, you know? Yeah, that shit was crazy. There's a whole breakdown. It's crazy because it's like two worlds that are totally like different from each other because the economic wise, culture wise, religion. Yeah. That was a whole reason why they burnt down all of the Aztec records. Yeah. Because they had, so the Aztecs originally had like, they believed heavily in education. Yeah. Because all their whole culture was based around the sun and their religion and sacrifices and stuff.
And if I'm not wrong, the Aztecs did the same to the Mayans, right? They burnt all Mayan.
No, the Mayans and Aztecs never overlap, but the
There were, like,
Aztecs did
several
it to
hundred years between
themselves.
them.
Oh, they burned their own records at one
Yeah.
time. Okay.
Because they had, they believed in education. They wanted everybody. That was one thing that was really interesting, is that they, their education was for all people.
Yeah.
So like in most European countries or most countries, they send the men to school to become scholars and stuff. But Aztecs taught men and women and everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. But there was one guy who like took over by force.
Yeah.
And he fucking when they started to have more rebellions, then he like destroyed all their records.
Yeah.
Because he didn't. I mean, that's what most people like. That's what most dictators do, because they don't want uprisings. Is they destroy education systems.
Wow.
That's how you oppress people.
Yeah.
And then when the Catholic Church came, they did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because they wanted. Well, what started to happen with the Catholic Church with all indigenous people was that indigenous peoples have this pantheon of gods.
Yeah.
And then the Catholic Church was like, oh, and there's this guy, and they're like, oh, that's nice. Let's add him to this mosaic.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah,
he's the one.
he's the one. Exactly.
Yeah.
So then they destroyed everything so that they could teach Catholicism.
Wow. Yeah.
What a dick.
Which led later to them having to fucking.
That's why the information is so hard to come by, because they tried to rebuild it after the Aztec Empire was destroyed. Then now people that are descendants of Aztecs or Mexica are now considered Nahua.
Yeah.
And they try to get Nahua people to like redo the notes, rebuild the records.
Yeah. That's so crazy. And so Hernan Cortez went on to fuck Aztecs, right, with his army of like.
Oh, okay. I was like, the fuck was a weird dude.
Yeah, he went Genghis Khan on the Aztecs. No,
Which was wait, you finish first.
No, go for it. What are you saying?
No, because it'll take a while. You finish first.
Go for it.
God damn it. I was just gonna say, like, that whole process made me like. El Dorado was like a good and bad depiction of what happened. Like, obviously, it's not accurate. I don't know if you know the movie I'm referencing. It is
the fucking cartoon.
El Dorado and the Road to the Golden City. Cut me off again.
The cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like, obviously it wasn't two fucking white guys that took down this whole civilization.
Yeah.
But that's like a perfect example of like this entire culture that's just like been on its own and runs into this other one. And then it's like, Cortez is depicted in the movie and he's depicted as a villain to the protagonists, but as, then he's depicted as the hero of them because he saves them from being murdered by the guy trying to murder them. And it's like a weird, like, that was his whole vibe. And even in like modern day depictions of him, you don't really know, what his vibe was.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of both a villain and a hero. There's people that like defend what he did, and there's people that were like he did what he thought he had to for his people.
Yeah.
And then he felt guilty about it. And there's people that like, nah, dude, that one guy was like a warmonger.
Cortez?
Yes.
Yeah.
That fool was a skunk, fool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also he turned his back on the Spanish at the very beginning.
Yeah.
He attacked Mexico when he was told not to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then went on to be greedy and try to get all the gold and silver.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, even in this depiction, like hundreds of years later, it's like he is the villain, but he happens to save the protagonist, and it's like
he's like the colonizer of all colonizers,
Yeah.
dog.
he's
the number one. Him and fucking
Columbus, dude.
I don't even know whoever was in Jamestown or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, the Mayflower.
Yeah.
John Smith, not John Smith, right?
I don't know.
Pocahontas.
Cortez is number one douchebag.
He's the prototype.
I don't know. Columbus did some shitty shit.
Well, no shit.
Shit.
But Hernan Cortez is the prototypical. Is that how you say it? Prototype. He is the model fucking colonizer, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Columbus was kind of just a sadistic asshole.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's a book Frederick Douglass wrote where he was talking about one of the slave masters he had, and this fool, he called him a lion with ears, a lion with mouse ears, and that was Columbus. Somebody that was just like didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah.
Just like he was just self-indulgent.
Yeah.
But Cortez was calculated and had the power behind him, and that's what was. He was a fuckhead.
Yeah.
You know.
100% fuckhead, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
He betrayed people that he went there for, and like snaked out. Not saying that colonizing is good, but he fucking like went. So at the time you needed permits from the crown to take over a new land.
Yeah.
And this fool didn't get permits. White people think that they don't have to get permits ever.
Yeah.
And so he went and fucking started taking it over because he wanted to take over the silver mines.
And you know what's fucked too is that they were trying to spread Christianity, spread Catholicism, right?
Yeah.
Bro, the 7th commandment, dog, do not kill. What the fuck?
But it's okay if it's for the Lord.
Yeah, right?
It's all this fucking mental gymnastics that these people do to like make it okay to justify the things that they do.
Yeah.
Especially when like the Catholics came and saw all of this sacrifice, and they saw people washing their hands in blood and shit, and they're like, oh my God, these heathens.
Yeah, that's why it's so annoying when someone's like, today is like, at least, you know, where it's like we benefited because where would have you been without them doing this? I'm like, more of us, probably.
Yeah. Imagine where we would have been.
We fucking invented math and surgery, dick.
We're in the middle of a risk game right now. And it's almost our turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we have some cards to turn in, dog. Okay, sorry.
All right, everybody needs to
He's
go
just
and
so mad about that game.
play one round of Risk so you know what we're talking
Yes.
about, and then come back and be like, oh, he's right.
This fucking episode is sponsored by Risk, dog.
Yeah, it's,
Shout out.
I don't know, the
Shout
whole doing the research for the Aztecs is very like, I felt pulled back and forth because obviously growing up listening to stories about you know, the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incas and like other smaller tribes even more now, there's a pride, especially now there's a huge movement for Mexicans to reclaim their indigenous identities, right? And that's something that I'm trying to do and that I want to do. I want to like see if I can create my family tree and figure out where I come from. But listening to these, I'm torn back and forth because I'm like, damn, the Aztecs had like this crazy feudal system that was built on like, it was pretty much a capitalist society, and the amount of growth and the way that they like
Believed in science.
Every time you say that, I hear naturally, you're always picking on me because I only believe in science.
It's hard. Doing all this research, just like it's same as the rest of the episodes. It just makes me want to research it more because I have to kind of get to the bottom of this. Because I see some stories where I can empathize, and other stories where I'm like, and again, I'm sure there's like something in the middle.
Yeah.
Where I don't think that
something you're missing.
Yeah, I don't think that every single person is flawed.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously, if you become a vast empire, it's the same thing about becoming a billionaire. You had to step on some people to get there. I know, I fucking rolled right through that billionaire. Yeah, but it's like if for anybody to get that big, you have to step on people and do things that you probably, you know, shouldn't be doing. But that's how they built their culture. Their culture was built on like strength and military and sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And another thing that I touched on earlier was that, you know, doing all the research so fast, you just touch on a bunch of topics that you really can't dive into. So it is interesting to like hear so many fucking names, dude. When you're listening to these podcasts, just names being thrown around, and each one of those persons have a story. And it gets you closer to how it actually felt at the time.
Yeah.
Or closer to our roots in a sense, you know? Like Miguel Hidalgo traveling down to fucking Mexico and not going all the way, you know, like,
and it's like, what happened?
Yeah, what happened?
No one will ever know.
That's just a part of the story. It's like, you know,
may never know. That sounded like a real commercial.
Yeah.
but there is answers out there. So like, even if this is interesting to you, then I would like, you know, tell you to search even further, not just this podcast, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything, I feel like... Sorry.
Yeah, because if you like us, we find this interesting. Like, that's the reason why we wanted to spend so many episodes on it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like one of them. You know, there's several different reasons why we do what we do here.
Yeah.
But that's one of them is like, it's not to fact check. It's not to like... I mean, a little bit sometimes we do want to make things clear for ourselves, but it's like also, it's to give everyone else a window of a community. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, now you have somewhere to at least get started.
Yeah.
And, I mean, no, that's pretty much what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, spaced halfway.
Real quick before this is just an aside, I wanted to make sure I got it in on the episode, but there's a creator on TikTok that I really like called JWitchy TV, and she is fucking phenomenal in like learning about the Mexica or Aztecs. She's really cool.
Okay,
she's an educator.
Yeah, check them out. And if you, I wanted to be a history major before becoming an alcoholic. No, before going into theater. So like history has always enticed me. Like my library is right here with a bunch of history books.
Yeah.
You guys want to? Okay,
it's so small.
It's not small.
You just read
huge.
for the rest of the podcast.
You just read the one. I was gonna bring up Norm, but I don't want to. I brought him up.
You fucking brought him up.
God damn it! Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to Norm Macdonald. Yeah.
Another really good thing, and this is just something that touches on a lot of stuff. I didn't rewatch it for this, but John Leguizamo's Latin History for Morons on Netflix is phenomenal.
Yes.
And he has a whole reading list that you can check out. I have all the books.
I think I have a few of them.
And please feel free to either DM us or comment and let us know what you think. If you like what we're doing here, like history-wise, because there's always, like I said, there's always more to look at.
Yeah.
And we're going to eventually run out of topics for just the Isimo podcast. So going into these stories, it's good to have like a backlog. We have a list on our iPhones because Apple makes the best kind of phones out there. It allows you to, share a notes section. But we have a very long list of Isimo topics. We will be more than willing to add to those topics.
Yeah, we've been doing this, 5 months now?
Yeah.
We barely knocked out like a third of it.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I wanted to say, like, at least for me, I'm not going to speak for these guys, but when we first started the podcast, it was hard for me to like describe what the tagline of the podcast is. What is it really? And for me, what I'm discovering is just me like exploring my identity as being a Latino, as being a Mexican, as being an indigenous person.
Yeah.
It feels strange to me. It feels like uncomfortable for me to say like I'm an indigenous person because I've never had to identify with that.
Yeah.
But it's like the more and more we do this, the more like I
connect and
I want to connect. I want to find my roots.
Okay, that was a loud one. That was very wrong time to fart that loud.
Good, I had a good moment coming up too. Oh,
What were you gonna say?
I thought of a tagline.
What?
Because when I'm working on something for He Can Smell It. Did you smell it?
Not yet.
Watch randomly he's gonna be like, fuck!
Don't explain it, say it.
I'm working on that piece of artwork for potential. I don't want to spoil it, but in doing so, to give me inspiration, I looked up, the dictionary definition of what Isimo means. Everything I could look on Isimo, and it just gave me an idea for a tagline. Because the way I explained, Isimo means spectacular. It means magnificent. It means big, large. So our tagline could be Isimo, we are magnificent, because we're all magnificent people. And it's worth looking into and researching.
We'll put that on the list.
Yeah.
Fuck you, it's good. What's your tagline right now? What does that shit say?
With Ryan Reyes, Dominic Angel, and Toronto.
Exactly. The fuck are you coming up with?
Isimo
podcast.
That also makes our intro like relevant. Like
it's huge.
Big.
Thank you very much for listening. If you made it this far.
Oh wait. I'm so sorry. There's one thing I forgot to talk about because I had a question because he did a lot more research than we did.
You bitch. Go for it.
Did Incas... Here's why I want to ask it because it's something did Incas do sacrifices?
That's something that I don't know. But the Incas they're just totally separate. They're in Peru.
That's what I'm saying. I think they were Here's why I'm asking. Are you familiar with Emperor's New Groove?
Yes.
Did you know? Okay, so it's based on. It's never said out loud, but it's based on the aesthetic is based on the Incas. But originally, some TikToker brought it to my attention that I'm not gonna tag them because they're white and they got something wrong. But
finish the thought.
I am. Don't stifle me. Okay,
I'm gonna fart.
What's stopping you? It hasn't stopped you so far. It's based on Incas and it's starring the fuck is his name, David Spade and John Goodman. But originally it was going to be Owen Wilson, and it was going to be based on the Aztecs, and it was originally called was it the King of the Sun or something, King Sol?
Yeah,
and it's supposed to be based on Aztecs. And First of all, the reason they changed it was because Disney didn't want, supposedly, speculation. I want to make that clear. Supposedly, it was because they didn't want a cartoon associated with a culture that did human sacrifice.
Yeah.
But it was like the most annoying thing for me when someone was explaining this to me was like, this is still, a white person depicting what they think or using our culture as a background. Either way, like when they were like, man, we missed out on what could have been a good movie. It's like, why are you sad? You're sad that this movie made by and starring entirely white people, except for the woman that played what was her name? Isma. Predominantly white cast, predominantly white filmmakers, depicting what they think is brown culture, was almost another movie that was entirely white cast, entirely white creators depicting what they think brown culture is. And it's like the only difference was they were okay with one of them because they didn't, for all they know, do this bad thing hundreds of thousands of years ago.
But also, fuck that shit.
Yeah,
I know you just said that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, well, let's say it together.
They made Hunchback of Notre Dame and Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. That guy was ugly.
But it's like, how are you gonna make a movie about the fucking Catholics? How are you gonna make movies about white people? All they do is sacrifice people, right?
Yeah.
Manifest Destiny, fucking Spanish Inquisition, all their shit. What would they call all of that stuff? The Crusades. They would call all those deaths the sacrifice for the betterment of the church.
Yeah.
They fucking sacrifice people left and right, but still our people are the ones that have to be. There's a shadow over it. There's a tinge. There's a negative connotation. We're disgusting. We're savages.
Yeah.
Bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
Damn.
Fuck Disney. No, I shouldn't say that. They'll come after us. You cut that out.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna cut that. Come after him.
Gerardo said.
Also, Gerardo wants to say that I will never wear these kind of shorts again.
I thought you said Gerardo wants to say he loves Disney. Okay.
No. Disney's cool, but I don't care. I don't like cartoons, so that's what they're known for. Anyways. Please, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at IsimoPod, ISIMOPOD. I'm giving you a big bear hug right now. Email us at isimopod@gmail.com. Leave us a comment saying which person you would like for us to dive deeper into, and we'll put that onto our scheduling.
And if you know any facts, share them.
Yes, if you want to fact check us, maybe the Incas did kill a bunch of people, and you want to...
Maybe we did an image surgery. I don't know.
What? Oh, maybe we didn't image surgery. Yeah. Please leave a comment on our YouTube channel if you made it this far. And like and subscribe also. I forgot to say that. Yeah. Follow us on Spotify and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. The next goal is 200, baby.
Yeah. And if you have enjoyed our Patreon, feel free. We have a Patreon goal, 100. We're halfway there. We're almost there. So like if you once we reach our 100 goal, we're going to have a live show that's going to be available to people in person and digitally for our patrons.
Yes.
And it'll be cool.
Also, too, my mom is sharing her secret recipes on our Patreon.
Yeah.
We already got one of the guys done. We're gonna teach you how to make Mexican rice, beans, and this amazing chipotle chicken, dude. I wanted to make it for you guys today, but then we played Risk. Check out our live streams. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. We might take some weeks off because it's a lot of fucking shit to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're going to figure out a schedule.
Yeah, we're going to figure out a schedule. Ryan's annoying the shit out of me right now. But I also have to pee.
From here at Aztec-Isimo, don't
fly.
Don't fly. Your face!